Hello, everyone. I wanted to share my story in some details. I was kind of hesitating to, make a video, but you know what? I thought maybe I should do that because few people thought maybe, maybe I'm not a real person. Some people thought there was some Jewish conspiracy going on, and all sorts of ideas out there. So I wanted to make a video to show that I'm a real person. I was born I was born into an Ismaili family. My dad is Ismaili, my mom was Sunni, and I was raised as an Ismaili. And around the age of maybe 18 or so in high school, I found Islam. Some of my friends invited me to read the Quran, and I started reading it. I started praying, what was called Namaaz or Salah. And I got really excited. I found the Quran, and I got really excited about it. I really liked it. And I said, hey, this is God's message to me. I didn't look into it too critically. I felt like, I looked into a little bit of other religions and stuff, and I felt it's just instinctive, and I felt like this is something, good, something I want to follow, God's message. And I started praying 5 times a day. And, eventually I took a deep dive into Islam. I started following it with all my heart and mind. Within like a few years after that, I started university, and then I got married, and then, what else? And then I started working. So when I was working, I tried my best to implement Islam. I would pray even at the office. I would find a stairwell. I would go and pray wherever I could, and I would get, if we had a prayer room, I would invite other people to come pray with me. And even in university, in the middle of exams, I would stop to pray. I would ask them, can I please get up? I need to say my prayers for Maghrib especially. And yeah, I was following it to the best of my ability, to be honest. I sincerely believed in Islam. I used to give out some DVDs. I made some DVDs of my own with some Islamic videos. I used to go from mosque to mosque, videotaping lectures and at conferences, and I wanted to promote it because I felt truly in my heart this was the true religion. I wanted people to go to Jannah. I wanted Allah to be pleased with me, and I wanted to follow the Prophet. And so that's what I did. I created a website, lightuponlight.com, and eventually another one, verse-by-verse-quran.com, to promote Islam because I believed in it. And there's still a bunch of videos on there if you go and see of that I videotape myself, some of the lectures, and some of the other ones I got permission from others to put online. So that's what I was doing. And when I started working, I would avoid jobs that were involved with riba, anything to do with the bank. I wouldn't work for any banks whatsoever. I wouldn't work in the media industry like television or music. Personally, I would avoid I wouldn't listen to music. I wouldn't let my kids listen to music. I even put my kids in Islamic school, for as much as I could afford it, even though it was expensive here in Canada. But I mean, that's what you do, right? If you're a Muslim and you truly believe in it in all your heart. As well, I used to rent. I didn't have a mortgage because I believed in it. Now, there came a point in my life where I started having a little bit of doubt here and there, small doubts. And eventually, I was at 2 years ago, I had some doubts. I was discussing with a friend online, and he mentioned that a lot of the stories in the Quran actually come from Jewish folk tales. And I was very surprised about that. Like, Jewish folk tales. I said, no, no, no. You mean it came from the Bible or the Hebrew Torah? And when I looked into it, I found out that actually a lot of the stories are from the Talmud, which is actually the Jewish commentary and the Jewish stories and basically the rabbis, commentary of the traditions. And so it doesn't really have a divine origin. And I also had a big problem with the story of Dhul Qarnayn. This tribe of how Dhul Qarnayn, he trapped this tribe of people, Yajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog, behind a giant gate built of copper and iron. And I was wondering, where is this place? How come we can't find it? We have Google Earth and all that, and how come we can't find it? So that was another doubt. And I believe, left Islam for one day. But then I decided, you know what? I'm going to put my doubts aside. I'm Muslim. I want to go to Jannah. I want to believe in Allah. And I became Muslim for one more year. And then last year, so 1 year ago, is when when I truly left Islam for good. I was in Ramadan, and I was at a pre-iftar halaqah, and the sheikh was saying, Allah holds up the sky without any pillars. And this brought back all my doubts about, if the Quran is truly from God, the creator of the universe, the one that knows all things, why is he describing the world in a way that, was the 7th century understanding of the world? Like, the sky doesn't have, okay, we know the sky doesn't have any pillars that you can see, but there's no need for pillars. Like, we're just a ball in space. Sky is it's just emptiness. It's just emptiness of space. So there's no there's no need for any pillars, visible or invisible. And there's many things like that, like the orbit of the sun and the moon. Why Allah describes an orbit of the sun and the moon? Like, we know the orbit of the moon is around the earth. That makes sense. But the orbit of the sun, like, what orbit would that be? I looked into this and I found, well, there is an orbit. It's a 300 million year orbit of the sun around the Milky Way galaxy, which has nothing to do with humanity whatsoever, because it's completely useless. But of course, at that time, the Muslims would have thought that this orbit is an orbit of the sun around the earth. And even in Sahih Hadith, Prophet Muhammad, he asked his companions, do you know where the sun goes when at the time of Maghrib? And they said, Allah knows best and his messenger knows best. And he said, it goes beneath the throne of Allah. Now we know the sun is actually still there, and it's actually the earth that's going around the sun. So this one and many other things, they didn't add up to me, that why the creator of the universe is making these mistakes, or describing it in a way that doesn't make any sense today, now based on the new information. And it made me wonder, is it truly Allah the creator, or is it just coming from a man that lived in the 7th century, that believed these things and was basically writing them as he went? And so, the stories in the Quran, like I said, Dhul Qarnayn, where is Gog and Magog, Yajuj and Majuj? There's supposed to be, millions and millions of them stuck behind this dam. We haven't found any giant gate anywhere in the world. I mean, even some of I think it was Omar, we went to look for it and they didn't find it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? And so these things, my doubts began to grow and grow. And eventually I got to the point where I said, this can't be from God. I don't believe in this anymore. And because my doubt became more than my certainty. And when I started to look into each one of the claims that of in the Quran, that the Quran is actually from God, like embryology and the mountains and all of these things, including the language, I found they just fell down flat. Like, for example, embryology, all you have to do is look into these things in detail to see how people misrepresent the Quran to be a scientific thing, when actually it's not. These stories were meant to be like, kind of to bring you to remember God, and to say, look how amazing it is that, the embryo, how it glows. It wasn't meant to be, scientifically accurate. And when you look into it, you find it's actually, the idea is flawed. And same thing with the stories in the Quran, like, if they were true stories, why is it that we're finding trouble, verifying these facts? I'll make another video about Dhul Qarnayn in the future. It's a longer topic. But in summary, I just don't believe that there's any possibility that this actually came from a divine being, this book, the Quran. And when you look into it, you find many things that don't add up. And this is why I had to eventually leave Islam, despite all the investment I put into it, emotional investment, and my personality, my friends, everything was Islam to me. So this was a huge loss, losing God. And some people want to know what I believe now. I personally don't believe there's any God, so I'm atheist. But if someone would ask, well, where did everything come from? I would say I'm still learning, and I don't think we have all the answers. But it is possible there is a force, outside of the universe. I don't know, if you wouldn't call it necessarily God. You could call it God, but a force, a power, a being that made everything into what it is. But this being, from what I can tell, either does not care about us, or does not know about us, is not interested in us, doesn't answer dua, doesn't, like, if you just look at the state of the world today, all the suffering and all the pain, it does not look like there's any God out there that cares for us, that's looking out for us. And in fact, that's what I believe, that if there is a creator, either he doesn't know about us or he doesn't care about us, and he's just letting all these things happen. And which is why I'm an atheist, because I don't believe that there is a God. But if there is a creator out there, I mean, maybe he has no personality. Maybe it's just like a force, a power,